And we welcome you into Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor. Old school brew, Razor, as we do this legit in the morning. I have already finished my Fazenda, but you're on the road. So, and I know you're not always a hot coffee guy. So I don't know if you've had any caffeine intake as of yet. How late did the flight get in from Carolina into
No,
Philly?
the flight was fine. We were at the hotel. I was in my room in bed by right around 1, so wasn't too
That's
bad.
not bad.
But I have
That's
not done anything today. Yeah.
okay. So he got up, he's hanging out, he's in the hotel room. We appreciate that. Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor greatly appreciates Fazenda Coffee
Mhm.
being our lead in pod sponsor. We can't thank them enough, and we can't thank them enough because hats are in stock. The link is live. Visit fazendacoffee.com/morning brew. And for those of you who wonder, how do you spell Fazenda? Fazenda, Fazenda. They're Boston's specialty coffee roaster. The hats are in. There's still a couple of Clean Canteen Traveler mugs as well. And so Pete and the guys over there did a special bundle that you get a bag of brew blend or any other coffee. You might not want the dark roast, so you look for another one, but you also get a hat and you get a Clean Canteen travel mug for $75, or you can do the hat alone for 30. Go to fazendacoffee.com/morning brew. And do not forget to check out Fazenda Coffee if you want to get some retail. A, you can get it at Whole Foods, but B, Razor, in the Boston area, we are now in Star Markets. And so you can go check out the Star Market shelves. That Morning Brew Blend is there. Thank you to Fazenda Coffee for being our lead in pod sponsor. All right. I got to bring the energy now the rest of the show.
Yeah, you do.
Like that
Yeah, you do.
because oh
Oh,
mama, to borrow a phrase from my friend Razor, I say
yeah.
holy smokes, he says oh mama. Whoa mama. Whoa mama me that one last night. There's really not too much to analyze from the 8-2 drubbing that the Bruins took at the hands of the Carolina Hurricanes, who look a heck of a lot better than perhaps some people thought coming into this season. And the Bruins, on the flip side, partner, look a hell of a lot worse than some people, hand being raised here, thought they would coming into this season. You were there. You survived the wind tunnel that is Carolina. What's it called now? Lenovo Arena or Lenovo Center, whatever.
Uh-huh.
Buddy, doing that game from the studio, though, you want to talk about bad vibe. That was bad vibe for me. What about you being in Carolina?
Yeah, no, there was I've been in that corner a lot in my life and in my career, and I had some PTSD that one sitting there with Corpy and then sitting there with Swayman for the entire game. It was that was a tough one for the goaltenders and a tough one to watch from that corner. It just like you said, there was nothing, right? There was just nothing. No energy, no, just a lot of blah, and that's yeah, I felt bad for everybody involved. It was not fun.
Razor, at what point, because we have said recently, outside of Toronto, they're 1-4-1 now in their last
Mm,
6 games. We have discussed, whether directly or commented indirectly, about the lack of energy, about the lack of compete at times, about the lack of Boston Bruins defensive structure. Okay. But let's start with the energy. I mean, there has to be some. I'm not talking concern as in like, okay, it's early concern. No, doesn't there have to be some major concern now that the energy just isn't there, and you can visibly see it now. You can see it in their faces. You can see it in their body language. And how do you address that? Because you can't, whip them every game and rip into them every game. And on the other hand, you can't coddle and say it's going to be okay. So you've been on some teams that have been high and some teams that have been low. When the energy's low like this, what the hell do you do?
well, the players, I mean, it's they're a bunch of pros, and it's up to them. It's their job to get themselves out of it. There's guys that have a lot of money at stake, right? And we've talked about those guys 2-3 weeks ago about what the season was going to look like for them and extensions, and so there's a lot on the line for those guys, and they've got to find a way today here in Philly to do whatever it takes to be ready to bring that tomorrow. And Listen, it snowballs quick. As fast as it snowballs the other way, and it has here on this team in the last 9 days, it comes back quickly too. And the core guys would know that. The guys that have been in this league a long time, they know that the energy comes back with one lucky play or one block shot or just one thing, and it snowballs, back down the hill rather than up the hill the way it is for them right now. So I think that's the message is, whatever you have to do for yourself to get going will somehow spark the rest of the team at some point. But it wasn't there. It wasn't there last night, and Carolina didn't give them a sniff, didn't let them get out of it in any way whatsoever.
For a team that prides itself on its defensive prowess, the structure, etc., why are they having such a hard time? I have my flaws. I'll ask you, but
Yeah.
Why are they having such a hard time picking up guys, picking up the right players, doing the right thing with the puck? Why are they playing so slow right now? Because that to me is indicative of a lot of their problem.
I think
they can't.
I think both are connected. I think their zone entries defensively and their reads defensively on where to go are slow, and they're not getting to the right spot. So they're giving up goals like Orlov's and the one in the third. I lost track, but there was another one. Peak knocks it down. It goes right to a guy that should be picked up. I mean, there's 4 white jerseys around those people. And then because they're not in structure there, when they do get the puck, there's no outlets. There's no one's going. Everyone's waiting for someone to get the puck rather than anticipating that the defensemen are going to get the puck and where they're going to go with it. So it's very, very disconnected at times. Of course, it seems like there's a new player on every line that can affect it. Certainly, that they haven't picked up the system precisely the way that the coaching staff wants them to have yet. And the rest of the players and the guys that have been here a while that do understand where they want the puck to go. And another, communication, some of it. And I think it's just that lack of energy, that lack of focus, that lack of confidence that's also bleeding into that part of the game. Because again, that was most disturbing and has been the last couple of games, is just the way they defended entry wise, whether it's PK entry, whether it's 5-on-5 entry. Teams are getting into the zone so easily.
So easy. Yeah. I mean, was it one of the power play goals? Marty Necas, right? It was Necas. I think it was 1-against-4. We showed it in the studio. He literally came through the middle of the ice into the offensive zone. And it was a box in one. That's what it was. And the one was Marty Necas.
Yeah.
And he was able to slice so gracefully, like a slalom water skier. He just kind of slid, it made a nice little cut to his left, and the next thing you know, holy smokes, he's into the offensive zone unimpeded. You brought up lines. You brought up new guy on each line, everything. Are we seeing too many line changes? In the sense of, I understand that a coach's hammer consists of basically 2 things. One, the most important, the most enforceable thing is ice time for a player, right? Whether it's shifts, time, time of period, etc. How much a player plays. That's what it comes down to.
Uh-huh.
But then it's also line combos. That's the second thing. What can a coach do? Because there are messages that can be sent, certain things, and guys know which one's the first line, so to speak, and the fourth line. But we're seeing a ton of different line combinations coming up. Are we at the point, from a coaching perspective, that perhaps they go with certain lines for, 2 games, 3 games? I know you can't go more than 2 or 3 games if things aren't working. I get that. But to give the guys some continuity, is that perhaps something that needs to be considered, Razor? I think so. I think that perhaps you stick with some lines. If some guy's playing, just brutal and turning pucks over and whatever, okay, then you got to sit him, I guess. But on the other hand, if everybody's kind of in this malaise of mediocrity, and that's, we're not even at mediocrity, we're at malaise of what right now. Do you maybe just got to stick with lines for, say, 2 games and see if you can get something going?
That would be my guess. I think they've been, to your point, they've been trying to send messages and just trying to get guys to, again, you brought up, where is the energy going to come from? Where is that going to, and that's what the coach have been doing. They've been trying to do that. They've been trying to pass some good energy along. They've been trying to move bad energy down, whatever it is from these different players. That's what they've been trying to do. And line changing is kind of the only way to do it. I would expect, I have no reason to know any of this, but I would just expect that fourth line to go back together this weekend. I think they've just been too good and so good, and you hope that they pass it along, but I don't know if they're really capable of doing that. I think they're better off in a situation where they just do their own thing and everyone else watch when they're on the ice.
Right.
And then
I'm with you on that. I just think splitting them up like they tried. Again, I'll give it the effort, the intent was good type of thing, but I don't know.
And you want to reward those guys, just once, and again, maybe it kicks. Like that's how guys end up becoming. That's how Brad Marchand ends up moving up lineups, right? Like that's kind of the hierarchy of the NHL, and that's what John Beecher could have had a hat trick last night, and then he could have been on the first line. He could have been an all-star. The rest, like that's something that you do have to throw bones at certain times. Of course, it's tougher when you're losing. You're going to get criticized for it, but that's really how you do it. But it didn't work last night. Those guys missed that one opportunity. Now put them back together, let them go do their thing, and give them another opportunity somewhere down the line.
Yeah. I got some numbers here I'll just, I'm not trying to, I'm
there's just a lot of offers, right? Like,
not just even offers. I mean, in no particular order. Boston is now tied for they're the number 2 most shorthanded team. San Jose's taken over the mantle of number 1, albeit they've played one more game. Boston has been shorthanded, I think it's 50 times now. They're tied for the most power play goals against with 12. They gave up 3 for the 3rd time this season. Razor 3 power play goals against in a game.
That's 3. Not good.
No. Interestingly enough, they are the number 1 team in the NHL as far as power play opportunities go, with 47. They've had 3 5-on-3s. They've scored 1 goal, albeit it was not even off a shot. It was off of a deflection off the outside of a guy's leg last night, right? When Brad Marchand tried to move it through the triangle, so to speak, and it hit Slavin's leg. That's very concerning, the power play, especially the 5-on-3. Those change the tenor of an entire game. We talked about that the other night. They have the most power play time on ice in the NHL at 76-26. But yet, so all that, I mean, the problem is they're not killing penalties well. They're not producing on the power play. They have 16 goals for at 5-on-5, which is tied for 25th overall in the league, or near the bottom of the list. 6 times this year, 4 more goals against. As I already said, 3 times this year, 3 power play goals against. Interestingly enough, we thought the faceoffs would be really, really good, right? You bring in Elias Lindholm. You already have other guys there. 5 times this year in their 11 games, they've been under 50%. Details, passing, receiving, staying in the battles, little things, Razor, have been very poor. Overall execution. With all that said, you bring up coaching, Bud, trying to do different things. There's been a lot of chatter. There's been a lot of chatter out there already about, you can't trade everybody, you can't do this and that, so moves have to be made. Where, when you hear stuff like that, where are you at with that, Razor?
I think a 4-6 team in the NHL. It's, I don't hold a lot of merit to it. I haven't really heard anybody other than X talk about it. I haven't.
Well, that's what I mean. There's been a lot.
Yeah, I haven't heard a lot of hockey people talk about it and being. So, you gotta gut through it. We gotta work through it, and the coaches have to continue to grind, which they are, and figure it out. And again, there's enough guys in the room and on that bench that recognize that this does happen. It's not ideal at the start of the season to go 4-6 because you're going to get criticized and you have to fight through it. But 4-6 isn't the end of the world on the other side of it either. So, of course, we all understand the criticism. I get it. I think all the people in the room and in the organization understand it. But This is a place that has had 3 coaches in 15, 16, 17 years. I don't, there's some patience involved as well.
Patience, yes, but when you get to the point, I mean, you've been on teams. You've been on good teams and you've been on some not so good
Yeah.
teams. As a player that's been on those teams, as a former Bruins player, been on those teams, can you feel when things are just done? Can you feel when you just know, or is there always, as a player, have you always experienced where you've just said, okay, like you said, we got to work our way out of this and it could be all right? Or have you had times where you're like, no, I know it's done?
Certainly not this early in the season. You know it's done when you go on like a 9-game losing streak in January or February, and you're like, oh, all right, I'll start booking my flights for
Mm-hmm.
Cancun.
Mm-hmm.
So no, like again, you've it would, and again, it would be if it was an 0-9 start right now, it'd be different too. Like it is 4-6. It's they're right there. I know it doesn't look it, I know it doesn't feel it, and they can take criticism for it. But they're 2 wins away from getting back to that 500 and going on a roll. Have I? So the answer is not this early in the season. I've never, whether we started 500 or we started in Dallas, I think we started 8-0 once. I think in Toronto we started 3-5. Boston the year we won the division, we weren't very good until end of December, and we started going on a run. So there's all different vibes. It's a stressful league, it's a stressful
Yes.
place, and when you're not 9-0, it's not really that much fun of a league. It really isn't. And that's where this group is right now, and they have to take the outside heat.
I think that, but I do think, you can tell me I'm full of it, but I mean, it's kind of justified, the outside heat, given that.
Oh yeah.
Give right. I mean, okay, we agree on that, because they haven't, especially in the last 6 games. You take out the Toronto game, and it's the optics, it's that eye test of, okay, it's going to be okay because of this, it's going to be okay because of that. We have not, I haven't, I'll ask you, but I'll make a statement and ask you. I have not seen nearly enough from the players that are going to be the ones that pull this team out of it to justify saying, I feel it's going to be fine. I have confidence in that. Because as much as I love what I've seen from Koepke, Kastelik, Beecher, for the most part, with regard to, I mean, they're doing their job. I look at the guys that have to pull this team out of it, the star players, the long-term players, there's a plethora of them. You start at the top, and it's the top, we'll call them 6, 7 guys. But we haven't seen nearly enough from them to say, okay, it's going to be all right. Hang in there, folks. So I guess hypothetical questions are very hard to answer, but how much longer do you wait if you don't see to make something? And I don't know what that something is, some move, something, if we don't see some of those top guys get going, Razor.
Yeah, well, so I'll be the the other side of that, and the reason why, like, these guys, those 6, 7 guys deserve some benefit of the doubt for what they've done in their careers, and they fought through a lot of adversity, all of them. They've never given anybody a reason to think that they don't care, to think that they are mailing something in, to think that they're not going to fight through a little bit of a bad stretch. So that's where I go
to be
with.
clear, and I'm not saying you said, but I'm not saying they don't care. I'm saying that they haven't been able to perform at a level that is going to take them personally and as a team out of this malaise that they're in.
Yeah, of course. And guys that, again, if there was a group of guys that had never done it before, if it was a younger core who we hadn't seen this from, or we'd seen patterns of it allowing them to slip away, then I don't think the benefit of the doubt is deserved. In this situation, I do. They've gone, they've a lot of guys have seen this at some point in their career. So that's where it is. But to your question, exactly like how much more time do they have? Of course, the window closes a little bit. The leash always gets shorter when you're not playing well, and you're looking at the schedule. They're in Toronto Tuesday night. Like, there's no real break. There's
Nope, not
nothing
right
that's
now.
there's no break that's really going to allow them to take a deep breath. So, you're probably still looking at, I don't know. I guess if you lose 10, if you only win one of 12, then it's a whole nother situation. They're going to win a game this weekend. And, like, that's the way I see it. And then they're still trying to find it, I guess. So hypothetically, if they lose the next 5 in a row, then yeah, then we're in big trouble, I guess. But
Yeah.
I don't
I mean,
it's a
you
lot.
have to, and again, it's a hypothetical, so it's just an opinion thing. How much you think? I think if they go a couple of more games, Razor, that I just think, especially if they're the kind of efforts that we've seen, the last few, where they really can't get anything going. That's when I think, something, player movement. I don't know what it is, but something has to be done.
Yeah.
Something has to be. I know there's no practice. It's today in Philadelphia. You have an afternoon game Saturday. You got a late afternoon game Sunday. Um,
Sports science says no skating today.
Okay, so they don't. That's fine. I mean, to me, that doesn't matter one way or another. Give the body the rest. You get in. But could we see? Is it time just to call up a few of these guys from the American League and just say we're going to go with you? Go with you. I mean, it's more grind guys, but well, maybe they're willing to do things that other guys aren't willing to do. I don't know. I know it's not the end all be all, but maybe it's a temporary burst of adrenaline or something.
Well, and again, it's that other message, right? Okay, I'm not playing well. I'm going to get moved or off of my line or down the lineup. And then the next one is I'm not playing well and some kid's coming to take my job. So then that's another message. So that is definitely a valve that hasn't been used, that they have, that I'm sure they'd rather not use. But if this weekend doesn't go well, I would expect that to be the next one.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, to me, it's going to be, how does it look? Especially, it's about, now, see, to me, I always say it's not always about winning, but it's how the effort, how it looks. I mean, coming off a Philly game that was not a good look, and then the Carolina game that, understatement, was not a good look. They got to get a good look, Razor, and they need to win. They need it. They absolutely have to. I don't know. You can't go into Philly and you cannot play anywhere near what you have done. Otherwise, you are going to be I don't know about, you can't sell the farm anymore, right? You just can't, given the salary cap and the movement. But you're going to be doing something. Speaking of selling, let's take a moment here and recognize our two sponsors for this morning brew with Jaffe and Razor. If you are looking to buy, sell, or lease a new place in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, or New Hampshire, well, then you got to check out RTN Realty for all your real estate needs. And RTN Realty is led by Chris Gentile. He's got a staff of 16 agents. They've got you covered no matter what you're looking to do. Nothing too big or too small for RTN Realty. They handle all types of things, Razors, all type of transactions. Speaking of that, Chris has over 2,500 transactions throughout his career. Reach out to them at rtnrealty.com. Call 617-835-0845. That's directly to Chris Gentile. You can also email him, cgentile, Gentile, at rtnrealty.com, and get yourself a no-pressure consultation. Real estate market is ever changing. How's that for an understatement? You need someone you can trust. You can trust this guy and this company. And they listen to what you want, not what they want you to do. So go to rtnrealty.com. Tell him you heard it on Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor. Say hi to Chris from us too. Tell him he's supposed to get his ass to skate on Thursday. He was supposed to. He promised he was going to be there. And then all of a sudden,
unacceptable.
Busy man though. He's a very, very busy man. Graciano Construction, speaking of busy, Doug Graciano and his crew, Razor, are always looking to revitalize and refresh your space. And because of that, they're one of the best around. They're always busy. Bathrooms, kitchens, porch projects, garages, even full renovations, everything. Hey, even painting. Check out Graciano Construction. The best part about Graciano Construction, they do it with pride and amazing professionalism. They listen to the customer and the customer first. Doug and his crew somehow make doing the home remodels or the projects actually somewhat fun. And trust me, I've used them before, and I can tell you it's an enjoyable process. Great communication with them. They take care of you. Visit GracianoConstruction.com or call 508-330-7589. Yes, I think refreshing and revitalizing the Bruins house would be appropriate. Maybe they could call Graciano Construction. All right, let's go over a few positional things. Goaltending, where, when you're on a tough team like this, Razor, and goaltending, you said it was, a tough night for Swayman and Korpisalo. What kind of pressure do you put on these guys? What kind of responsibility do you put on, in particular? Well, let's talk more Swayman than anything. The eye test, he didn't play against Philly, but the eye test against Carolina, and in general, now that you've had a decent amount of work to analyze this year.
Yeah, no, he looks good. Moving pretty well. There was so many seam passes last night and open plays. It was just under siege, and not a game that you would ever draw up for any goaltenders. So he's gonna have to flush that, and this is the part of the starting goalie stuff, right? This is it right here, because he's going back and he's playing Saturday afternoon, and you got to go get the win when you're not feeling perfect about your game because you just got pulled last time, and you got to find it, and you got to go out there and do it. So this is where you start making your starter money in this situation, exactly. But I think he's up for it. I think he feels pretty good about his game, and I don't think last night going through the video is going to change the way he thinks about it or sees himself out there. So there's pressure. This is why you get the big deal. There's pressure on that to get your team out of it, to find a way to steal a win. Again, that's like what I talked about, that snowball going the other way. It's a goalie making 1-on-40 and winning 2-1 when they shouldn't, killing 4 penalties when they shouldn't. That's a big part of goaltending and in this league and turning things around. And I would say that the Bruins are at the point where they would do a lot for one of those kind of games.
David Pastrnak picked up a couple of assists in the game against Carolina. He now has 10 points in 11 games on the season. Now that you've had, these amount of games too, we've had these amount of games to analyze. Speaking of the big contracts, the big bucks, et cetera, obviously he's the biggest of them all in the Bruins. Where are you at with where he is at in his game?
Yeah, the good news is he's getting points. I mean, he is in on everything. It just, he's like one of those guys that doesn't look perfect right now. But he does his thing, and it's he relies on a lot of other guys. Like he can create on his own after having a bad game by himself, and he did that in overtime earlier in the season, I think, and so it's hard to really judge David by watching. If he's getting points and scoring, then that's kind of what he does.
What about, again, as we go through a few other guys, another big contract, Charlie McAvoy. He has, he struggled at times, especially running the power play. That has been, at least, the other night, last night, amended to look different and everything. But here's your guy that is going to, play between 22 and 26 plus minutes a night, right? That you need. And it's been a very uneven start to his season. And again, for this team, and much earlier in this pod, I brought up, the top guys, and we're going through them kind of individually right now. He's one of those guys that's going to touch the game in so many different ways, Razor. Where are you at with what you've seen?
Yeah, and for Charlie, it does need to look a certain way, right?
Right.
Again, he's kind of the opposite of David from my perspective or view or opinion. And it hasn't always looked that way yet for him. Getting into rushes, he needs to create offensively for this group. I mean, you look around the league, number one defensemen are creating a lot of offense for their teams. So He seems a little off, and maybe it's just a big hit that he needs to throw. Be a little more physical, something that just sparks everybody, because we haven't seen a lot of it.
We haven't seen that, right?
No,
and that you bring that up, and I was going to talk about his impact on the game. I would take just that kind of the old, chuckles
step up
type
on the
thing,
right side.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Take a penalty or something, like even
Why do you think we haven't? Is this? Are we at? And this goes back to the comment about the zone entries, and Barry and I talked about it in the studio last night. See, to me, when you see teams backing up and you allow these kind of zone entry, it's all about
you're done.
Well, you're done, but it's all about a lack of confidence. It's all about it's self-protect mode. That's what it is. And by the way, you know this. You see it at
It's
13, 14-year-old hockey, and
literally.
it's the same thing you see at big boy at the NHL level when the confidence is lacking, and you say, "Oh no, I need to protect instead of defend." There's a defending is meeting, protecting is backing up. And in particular, a guy like him, it has been so stark, the contrast between how he regularly did it the last couple of years and now. And I'm having a hard time understanding that or comprehending that. And is it because there's not enough back pressure? Is it because they're facing too many odd rushes? Or is it because he just doesn't seem to have the same kind of view of things out there, meaning what he needs, what he can do?
Yeah, and that's we need to find that out, or that's what the coaches and Charlie need to find out in the defense in general, because there is a lot of that. And it could be as simple as just go, right? Could conversation this afternoon, tomorrow morning, where it's just go be physical, go get goals, go, and let's turn it around that way. So it is hard to, again, that's what's interesting about I don't know if it's player, like it's kind of everything. And that's where it's hard to say, okay, are the coaches having them back off when they should be going forward? Are the players just not doing it? It's hard to see that. It's not evident to me. It's just one or the other, if not just all of it combined. And again, you want to see something a little bit different than we've seen the last couple of games out of the best guys, and how they make adjustments. So they have an opportunity.
They do have an opportunity. Again, it's just concerning to me because I don't see the same confidence from some players.
But so again, to that point though, like Charlie's Charlie's not going to lose it forever, right? You can't really believe that, right? So that's where my optimism comes from, is that it's Charlie, it's David, it's Brad, it's the guys that have done it before. They don't just lose it in the NHL. It just doesn't work that way.
Okay, well they have. But other guys, and we talked about this many podcasts ago about, that hit those career highs last year, had only done it that one time, basically, in no particular order. The Trent Fredericks, the Charlie Coyles, Morgan Geekies, they've done it. Well, a guy like Coyle's done it twice. He had a good year in Minnesota. We're talking statistically, points wise and everything. So he's done it maybe twice, but you know what I mean? It's not a regular thing. I don't know if the top guys that you just brought up that aren't going to be that way forever, right? If they can do their thing totally, if those middle guys aren't there to support them. And
again, that's the other thing. Is it the top guys bringing guys up? Is it the bottom guys bringing up the bottom? Is it the middle guy? Like that's kind of where it's going. And I do think, to your point, I mean, there's been 8 different guys score a goal in the last 6 games. Like that should be 8 guys in one game. 8 guys, like Carolina might have 8 guys score last night.
Right.
So that's again. I know you're going with the second tier of career highs last year, where they brought along from the guys above them. I think they were, and that's that's where it really starts.
A lot of change has to happen. I know that our listeners and our viewers, they appreciate your calmness and your read. You've got the nice outlook, and I do too. I appreciate it greatly. I'm just telling it's I watch it and I want to say, Razor. All right, I see this, so I can see that they're going to pull themselves out of it. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen that now, except for the Toronto game, and I think that's what makes this probably worse is that you see it in the Toronto game. And now I'm saying, instead of, like at the Philly game afterwards, I'm like, all right, come on. Like, you went from that to that. But now I see after the Carolina game, and you sit there and say, wait a second, is this what it is? Was the Toronto game an anomaly?
Yeah.
I know we're going to have to find out. I get it. You said there's no breaks.
Well, no, but in the
Games,
last week, it is, right? The last 10 days, it is. It
it's an
is the
anomaly.
outlier now. And
Yeah.
that's, of course, that's the concern. Of course.
Yeah, that's the concern. So I've said this before. I'm saying something. They've got to get it right this weekend. Otherwise, something's going to start happening. There has to be. I'll go back to this too. You got Tyler Johnson around. What are you doing with that? Meaning, I guess the other question is, maybe this is his best opportunity, so he's just willing to wait. But you've got a guy that, if you believe in, let's get him going. He's practicing hard with you. Let's get him going. I figure, get him in. You got to try something. Call somebody up. If you have to make other moves, you're gonna make another move. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to try. It's a very easy game playing, executive on this side of the microphone, so to speak. It's very easy. So I will not just say, God, flippantly go do, but something has to be done, Razor. If I'm doing the hypothetical, if this weekend does not end well, but you have to make some kind of adjustments to it, right? You just have to.
Yeah, and again, there'll probably be some kind of there'll be something switched up with everyone sitting around thinking about it all day, whether somehow in the lineup or on back end. So I'm sure Geeky's back in and somebody else is out like that after an 8-2 game, probably on the back end too. That's a very good possibility. You get Waterspoon, that's just how it happens, and that's the adjustments today. And
you need your star players to get going. That's going to be it. To me, that is the most major factor.
You need Swayman to make 30 on 31. You need McAvoy to get 3 assists. You need David to score twice. You need Marshy to score twice and win 4-1. That's where you need something. That's what you need.
Yeah, but I think I'm putting now. I'm putting the major onus on the big boys to pull this team up. It is time to grab onto that rope and pull them up. Yep. I just think it's where it's got to be. All right. Anything else you want to address on this one? I want you to have a good day off. Do you have anything planned?
Not much fun.
Yeah.
No, not right now. I haven't thought about it. I was waiting to see what the day held. So, okay. But it's going to be a hangout day. It's going to be a relaxed day. Enjoy the quietness of my day.
Are you in a good part of the city?
You?
I got a lot of shit.
Yeah, we are. I think we are.
All right, good. So you can get yourself the good food city. At least it used to be. Philly used to be.
Yeah, find a juice this morning, a Philly cheesesteak this afternoon, and
clean that gut out with that kind of food. That's good.
Exactly.
Stuff. All right, RC, the man. Thank you, buddy, for doing this time in the morning. We appreciate it. Razor, appreciate you getting up. I think you were probably up, but getting up and doing this at this time too. Folks, we appreciate you taking time to listen and to watch. Remember, go check out fazendacoffee.com/morningbrew for these stellar hats that are fully in stock right now. And also don't forget to take a look perhaps at the bundle, the Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor bundle. I can't believe I'm saying this, Razor. We're getting closer to holiday time, and
Christmas.
It could be a great holiday.
I
know. We're still a little ways away, but you want to make sure you get a hat. There's limited amounts, so go do that. But if you also want some coffee and a traveler, take a look at that. All right, Boston Bruins lose 8-2 to Carolina. They're back at it Saturday afternoon in Philadelphia, where Razor will be. I'll be in the studio. Sunday, Razor, you and I will be back together, meaning at home ice. Jack Edwards getting recognized. Sunday evening against the Seattle Kraken. So Jack, rightfully so, getting recognized for his 19 years of amazing, unique, intense awesomeness. Jack is. I'm really. I didn't get. Did you get to see him the other night or no? Or just see him on TV?
I didn't talk to him. I just saw him on TV.
Yeah, I didn't either. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the legend Jack Edwards on Sunday, and him getting his due and getting recognized. So that'll be a lot of fun, both in arena and on Nesson. So that'll be great. All right, folks, hang in there. We're hanging in there. Go have yourself an extra something. And next show is after Sunday night's game. We will not do a show Saturday. We'll do a show Sunday night after the Bruins Kraken game. Everybody have a couple of good days. Have a couple of good cups of that coffee.